Okay, so as first, I'm going to address the accusation of you accusing me of begging the question, of course. Now, it may be the case that I did actually, in fact, commit some kind of logical fallacy, but it was not circular reasoning. It could have been affirming the consequent, depending on how you look at things. The way circular reasoning works is when, how do I put this? When the premise and the conclusion are more or less the same thing. When the premise becomes the conclusion, for using the conclusion as a premise for the premise, if that makes any sense. They support each other. Circular. Now, the argument I was making was more along the lines of if P, then Q. And the way I was looking at it was P, therefore Q. You were accusing me of saying Q, therefore P. That's affirming the consequent, not begging the question. Of course, I was working with the assumption that the only way to arrive at Q would be through P, but that's another thing entirely. You were saying that that I was using the premise to support my conclusion, or rather that my conclusion comes from the premise, but that's how logical arguments work. Any argument starts with a few premises which lead to a conclusion. That's just how they work. So I'm not really sure what your criticism was there. If you want to, tell me what it was, elaborate on that a little bit. I still don't get the distinction between what you would consider a truth or a fact and a principle. You say that evolution is a principle. The basic idea behind the theory of evolution is that changes happen. That changes do in fact happen in our biological makeup when we have our progeny, etc. And we've witnessed this. We know that changes do happen. We don't create carbon copy clones. Changes happen. Mutations do happen in our DNA. We see it. And everything else about evolution just follows from that. That's all it is. That is the basic idea. So, and we witness that. So I guess I don't understand how it's a principle. But if you do want to elaborate on that, give me an example of other principles and other what you would consider a fact. That'd be great. I think I've covered everything. Go ahead.